Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs, and I'm pleased to be joined today by the 17th Command Chief Master Sgt of OSI, Chief Master Sgt. Gregg Gow. Chief, welcome aboard. It's so great to finally get you on your first podcast.
Thank you, Mr. Amon. It's great to be here.
Now, before we get into the questions that we had gone through prior to hitting the record button, let me ask you this: as the new command chief for OSI, have you gotten used to being called command chief yet, or is it still something that has to sink in a little bit for you?
It's still sinking in. It's hard to believe that I've been bestowed the honor to get to this position and represent the good men and women of OSI.
Well, I'm sure it was no fluke that you were selected, because obviously you've had a very stellar career within the command. And of your 26 years of service, more than 20 have been with the Office of Special Investigations. Now, for our newer listeners, you were named to the Command Chief position back in January of 2021, and you've occupied the Command Chief's position since May of 21. Now, my first question to you, Chief, is how has your big picture perspective of OSI changed, if at all, since you became the Command Chief?
Well, thank you for the question. And I can really say that my perspective hasn't changed a whole lot, really, of the command. Because growing up, I've got to see the evolutions that the command has taken, and especially, the last 2 years sitting at the Icon Center, of really seeing, being at the center of the command, really seeing everything, the crossroads of everything coming in and everything happening.
Right.
Really kind of getting to see where all of our folks are making efforts in making the Air Force and Space Force better. Keeping accountability, serving justice, defending our nation.
Right.
And so moving into this job, that job really just helped me just keep that perspective and going on, what we've got going on and the challenges and the threats that we face and where the general is trying to take us to get after the OSI we need.
Yeah, it really must be, I guess it would be, would it be safe to say it's kind of a daunting position to take over, because you're looking at so many things that happen in so many moving parts within OSI.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I believe my previous assignment has really prepared me for this, is because, there's so much going on in the Icon Center.
Yeah.
But coming up here is knowing the different parts and the different contributions that we have, so many people that make up the command, that make this as successful as we are.
Right. Now, the Icon Center, for those new to OSI, just listening maybe for the first time, Chief, is it safe to say that's kind of like the nerve center of OSI, kind of for lack of a better term, kind of a catch-all about everything that's going on within the command, which is obviously a global operation?
Absolutely, yes. As I stated before, kind of the crossroads, as you said, the nerve center, anything operational really happening in OSI will somehow go through or touch the Icon Center.
Right. Now, as the command chief, your bio states that you're the senior advisor to the commander on any and all matters relating to more than 3,400 enlisted officer and civilian airmen within the command. Now, the question on that is, how do you envision building on the level of personnel excellence that you inherited from your predecessors in the command chief chair?
Oh, so yeah, it's some big shoes to fill for sure. And I can't go any further without giving thanks to Chief Byrne Flint and the stuff that she has done to set the foundation and take care of our force. And even her predecessors have always just made sure that we place airmen first and take care of our weapon system, which are our airmen.
Right.
So, my big effort is to continue to build on that foundation and just be deliberate in placing those resiliency programs, deliberate in our training, and deliberately developing our entire force for the future, and just build on what my predecessors have put in front of me.
Right, right. Well, obviously, it's a big shoes to fill from your predecessor standpoint, obviously. But I'm sure you really accepted the challenge with your feet running on the ground, as it were.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's again, graciously, Chief Burn Flint kind of helped me come in and open the doors to a lot of the stuff that she was working on. So that helped me as soon as day one hit the ground running, making sure we keep these programs moving forward, onboard the new positions we need to get onboarded to help get after the force that we need.
Right. Now, Chief, back in August of 2019, OSI established Operation Developing Our 300, or DO 300 for short. And that was designed to ultimately change the culture of the command to a more connected, communicative, and trusted family. Now, again, for our first-time listeners, first off, what's the significance of that title, DO 300? What exactly does that mean, and what does that stand for?
Yes, sir. As DO 300 comes from a couple of sources. First off, the 300, the OSI 300, was coined by General Goldfein, the 21st Chief of Staff of the Air Force at the time, when he would refer to his OSI team. He'd ask how his 300 are doing, or the impact that his 300 have.
Right.
And it really was because it was, the 300, it was referring to the Spartan force, first really known as their, small group of warriors and their stand against the Persian army in Thermopylae.
Right.
So, and then incorporating on that, we took away is that the strength of the Spartans, and one of the strengths of the Spartans was not only their fighting ability and their cohesion as a team, but is also their shields, which were designed to cover not only themselves and their blind spots, but the warriors next to them.
Right.
And so really the DO 300 is that ability to not only protect ourselves and take care of ourselves, but it's to take care of our wingmen and our airmen next to us. And as you said, is building that underlying connectedness and that communication to have a trusted environment where we can all take care of each other and thrive.
Well, as you mentioned, a smaller unit like OSI protecting the larger family, if you will, of the Department of the Air Force. I guess that really speaks a lot to the caliber of people that belong to and participate in our DO 300 programs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and we recruit and we bring in some phenomenal people. So. We owe it to each other and we owe it to ourselves to take care of these great airmen.
Right. Now, prior to us sitting down today, you had earlier grouped values, communication, diversity and inclusion, and resiliency as part of furthering the DO 300 initiative. Could you kind of please explain for our listeners, Chief, how they individually and collectively do that? How do they enhance that DO 300 initiative?
Absolutely. Thank you again for the question. I think this is very important. It is, if you really look at it, if you look at those programs, the resiliency piece in our DO 300, understanding our diversity plus inclusion, it really boils down to values, because values are the essence of who we are. It connects us to others who have shared values. It connects us to our organization when we believe in the organizational values and what the organization does.
Right.
And it keeps us connected. And in order to connect, we need to understand who each other are and what our values are. And so understanding these values and being able to communicate and enhancing that ability to communicate more effectively makes us more resilient as a team and makes us a better functioning team because we can connect at that level. And so this is what's important to us in DO 300 is to understand each other, understanding what we value and what's important, as well as it brings that diversity and inclusion to the forefront. It's because, again, it's what we value and why that's important to our purpose and getting after what our mission is and strengthens our mission effectiveness.
Chief, it sounds like the DO 300 initiative then kind of is like a funneling agent for all of those things, the values, the comms, the diversity, inclusion, and the resiliency. Is that kind of a fair statement to make?
It absolutely can be. I believe that these are, everything that we do is foundational to our success. And so we have to embrace DO300. And if we do that, then we're taking care of our folks, we're ensuring their resiliency, plus that we're valuing the diversity that they bring to us and to make us more mission effective. It brings us together as a team, as a family.
Right.
And therefore we take care of the people, they take care of the mission.
Right, right. Well, there's that word again, family. We've heard it from, leadership, from, Brigadier General Bullard, the commander, on down the ranks. OSI is considered a family, and we hear that so much from folks in the field that they really appreciate, when the family helps them in their daily lives as OSI special agents or pro staffers or anything like that. So it is kind of a family affair, if you will, in OSI.
Absolutely, yeah. No matter where you go, it's you mentioned that you're part of OSI or you've been part of OSI. There's not a teammate or family member that won't step up and help you out.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's put on our looking forward hats a little bit, shall we, Chief? As far as looking forward to the future of the Office of Special Investigations. When COVID-19 is finally behind us, and hopefully that'll be sooner than later, what lessons do you envision the OSI family, there's that family word again, what lessons do you envision the OSI family learning from being able to adapt to and overcome the pandemic?
No, absolutely. I think there's a lot of things that we have learned. It forced us to really think of things in new ways. Just how we're communicating today, we've adopted new technologies to get after the job and get the job done. We've realized that we can be effective from anywhere and we don't need to be tied to a specific location to accomplish the mission.
Right.
We found new ways to be flexible and get after the job. So what I really hope is we continue to embrace these things, that we find ways that we can continue to be productive and not necessarily be tied behind a specific office or specific desk.
Sure.
But I do want to say too is that, I think we do value the connectedness that we need. And so we need to embrace some of the old and bring it in with the new. And take the best of pre-pandemic and the best of what we learned during the pandemic. And, I think the terminology that's being used out in industry is the hybrid model.
Right.
Embracing these in the way we operate in the future. In times where we need to come together and then times where maybe we don't need to come together and still be mission effective.
Right. Now, on the topic of environments, coming out of the environment of, the pandemic, the complexity of our global environment, Chief, seems to be changing pretty much as rapidly as technology is. I mean, I'm always being approached by my cell phone provider saying, "Hey, you want to get to the next level of cell phone," and things like that. So, so my question to you on that, Chief, is what way or ways must our command adapt to become the OSI we need, as outlined by OSI leadership?
Absolutely. Again, another great question. I think this kind of dovetails out of just a little bit what I talked about with, lessons learned from the pandemic is embracing those new technologies, continuing to think of ways that we can be more effective and do things differently. We are in the midst of, our Air Force is going through it. Our nation is going through it, is reprioritizing what we need to get after. And so I really believe that first and foremost is we've got to get into the right mindset, and that's every airman. It doesn't matter if you're the personnelist, sitting here in RKB, our security professionals out in PJ, our logisticians, to our agents and our analytical or intelligence specialist corps.
Sure.
We need to understand what our nation needs from us, which is, spelled out in the National Defense Strategy and the National Security Strategy.
Right.
We need to understand what our Air Force and Space Force need from us. and then we need to be able to adapt and transition in several mission areas to get after that. And some of that might be leaving things behind that we used to do, and being comfortable with that change. And
right. Well, some people, Chief, I was going to say, Chief, excuse me for interrupting, but again, some people, are hesitant to change. So in that light, what would you tell those folks that change is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
No, absolutely not. And sometimes change is a necessity.
Right.
And it's a little bit of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. And getting out of those comfort zones and embracing the change that we're just going to need to do. And some of this is also the aspect of failing forward. Is as long as we're trying to advance for the right cause and the right reason and taking, appropriate risk in areas where we may say we're going to stop doing this because this is where we need to focus on in this new area. And so all of these things are concepts that we're going to need to embrace to be effective in the future.
Right. So I guess, again, would it be safe to say, Chief, then, don't be afraid to fail if you're doing things for the right reason, because this way you don't look back and say, well, what if? What would have happened if I would have tried?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, Chief. Now, development always seems to be a buzzword when organizations are posturing themselves forward down the road. Again, before our discussion, you brought up the quote unquote purposeful development regarding training. Now, specifically, you touched on the OSI 100 series. Now, for the uninitiated, could you please explain what that particular development is all about?
Absolutely. So, we want to get after purposeful development. And I'll tell you, there's a small team here in, RKB in the Russell Knox building at headquarters that has come up with, they came up with the first iteration of OSI 100.
Okay.
And what that is it is an orientation to the command. It allows all new employees that are hired on, military and civilian alike, agent, non-agent, to get an orientation to who we are as OSI and the different belly buttons that they can push.
Right.
And so we're going to take that, we're going to grow that. And so that different phases throughout our folks' time in the organization and at the different levels that they're at, we can deliver these professional courses to orientate them to what we're about as an organization.
Okay.
And so we'll have the OSI development series, the OSI 100 series, that will go everything from orientation to coming into the command, to what region or function that you support, all the way up to our senior leaders when they make, GS-15, E9, 06, that they understand the enterprise level of the command and what they need to be thinking about in their new roles as senior leaders for OSI.
Well, it seems like all this is very well tailored, as you just mentioned, Chief, to be kind of a continual learning process. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. And this is just one aspect of getting after that purposeful development, is understanding the organization as you go through, as well as delivering purposeful training for the jobs that we're asking you to do.
Right.
And also incorporating the Air Force's pieces with PME and delivering that in the different courses at the right time for your career development as related to the service itself.
Right. So it's good for the OSI members now as well as later.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Very good. Now, Chief, you've been a proponent of lifelong learning, an active duty force that's expeditionary, and a total force that has to be agile and flexible. Now, how will that combination of factors get OSI to where it needs to be for itself and the Department of the Air Force?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in lifelong learning and being able to understand your environment and being know your history and don't repeat it.
Right.
and understanding what's changing. And as we've talked throughout this session, the environment is rapidly changing and everything around us is moving very quickly. And we're going to have to be agile and adaptive to this environment. What we knew yesterday is not going to be relevant to tomorrow.
Right.
The threats we face today from nation states are different than the faces that we faced, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When after 9/11.
And who knows what we're going to be facing 20 years down the road also.
Yeah. Well, and who knows what we're going to be facing tomorrow. I mean, within 6 months, we've seen things shift from cyber attacks to extremism and insurrection,
right,
to personal family violence, sexual assault, right back to the high-end fight. So so it's the environment continues to change, and we're going to have to be able to rapidly adjust to those threats and to get after that fight.
Right. Well, very well said, Chief. Now, Chief, before we wrap things up today, is there anything else you'd like to add? The floor is yours, as they say.
No, absolutely. So first off, thank you very much for this opportunity, to talk with you and to speak to the command, or the folks that are out there. We have a command of tremendous people, and it is my absolute privilege and honor to serve the command and serve the people in this command. The bottom line is, one is I want to take care of you and do the best we can do for you. But I also want to know how I can help you. And so we have a couple of vehicles to do that, and either through the employee suggestion program or Ask a Chief. Both of them are available on my SharePoint site. But I want to know how we can get after giving everyone in this command the tools they need to be the OSI we need in the future.
Chief, one last final question. Put on your recruiter hat for a little bit. To anybody who may be listening to this podcast, OSI Today, for the first time and is interested from what you've been talking about maybe trying to join up with the command, what would you say to possible new recruits for the command?
Yeah, absolutely. So not, a lot of people think that we just need agents, and we do. We're looking for civilian and active duty military personnel to be agents. But we also need our professional staff and our mission support staff, from intelligence specialists to logisticians to cyber operators and communications, you name it. There's a lot of people that go into making this thing work. So if you're absolutely interested, most of our stuff is pushed out there through USA Jobs or on the Equal Plus assignments.
Right.
Doing more to push our recruiting out there. Go talk to a local detachment, and we'll definitely get you set up to reach out to our recruiting teams and connected if you're interested.
And of course, our website, we can also reach our recruiting folks through our website as well, which is another platform that people can take full advantage of. Chief Gow, always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Great to have you on your first podcast. And our guest has been Office of Special Investigations Command Chief Master Sgt. Gregg Gow. Chief, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and hope to see you down the road sometime.
Thank you, sir, and I hope to see you soon.
And thanks to all of you for listening, for tuning in. For OSI Today, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.